welcome to week 5. Um, week 5 is what I call dating mastery. And it is a really, really cool week because up until now, we've learned everything up until the date, and now we're going to learn how to set up a date. Um, the reason that this week is called Triple H is not because of this guy. It's mostly because Triple H is about hang out, have fun, and hook up, which is basically the three guidelines to be in our head when we are dating. We will talk about it a little bit more in the next few, let's say, time slots that we have together. But essentially, hanging out, having fun, and hooking up kind of, um, let's say, compresses the whole meaning of being a man in the dating world. Because essentially, this is everything you need to do while you're dating. You don't need to do anything else. And if you're doing anything else other than hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, you're overdoing it. So, last week, we basically learned the basic game. We learned our offline and online models, and we learned how to set up grounds for the first date. Now, as I mentioned before, you have to watch last week 10 to 15 times to get good with it, especially what we talked about when it comes to basic game. Okay, because what we've talked about on the last module is going to be of service to you throughout whatever it is that you're going to do when you're learning this module. In other words, when you're dating, and it's also going to be in service to you when you are in a relationship. Okay, the game is always something that needs to be played. The couple that plays together stays together. So aside from what we just learned last week, that of course you need to repeat 10 to 15 times, I want to map out to you this whole thing that we're going to do right in the next through this week and in the next week as well, and on the week after. So essentially, what we're going to have is we're going to master the whole process of interacting with a woman over these 4 weeks that started last week and are going forward in the next 3 weeks. Where in the first part of these, module 4, we learned about what it means to be single and searching. Modules 1 to 3 were all about being single, right? And modules 1 to 3 are the bedrock for everything that we're doing because, all the self-thinking, all the I guess the all the tools that we learn for self-growth, they're always happening. You either grow or you die. Module 4, we learn what is the mindset when we are single and searching. How do we talk to women in order to get phone numbers? How do we talk to women in general in order to get them to like us or to get them to be attracted to us? This is why we learned the basic rules of the game. Knowing these rules of the game coming forward, we're going to go into modules 5 and 6, which is going to be dating. So we're going to cover on the first module, which module 5, what we're going to cover is how to construct a date and how to behave in a date from the moment that you ask the girl out up until the moment that you kiss the girl on the lips. Okay, this is what we're going to cover. And on week 6, what we're going to cover is number 1, the approach to the cyclical process that is dating. If you've watched my course, Dating Mastery, you know that dating is a cyclical procedure. So we're going to learn how to master that cycle of the date. And we're going to learn also how to do what I call seduction mastery. So we're going to learn everything we need to learn in order to kick ass in bed and have amazing sexual energies every day, all day. So we're not only conquering her mind, we're also conquering body and spirit. And finally, module 7 is where we're going to focus on what it means to be in a relationship and how to carry a relationship. And finally, module 8 is something else. Okay. What's really important, again, on these modules as well, is to watch them 10 to 15 times. And I mean, I don't mean it as a meme or as like as a slogan, watch 10 to 15 times. Haha. I mean it. 10 to 15 times. If you watch it 9, not enough. If you watched it 10 times, then it's okay. 10 to 15 times, you'll have it down in your head. All right. So let's delve into dating. Today, what we're going to learn is we will learn how to create and execute the most amazing first date that will knock her socks off. And that will also serve as your formula to creating every date that you will lead as of now. We'll also learn how to create an experience which will separate you from the rest of the chaff and make you different and unique in her eyes, drawing her to you even more. Because while most men, and even the good-looking ones, are stuck in their hyper-feminine, wishy-washy state, you will lead. Dating is an experience that you need to provide and that you need to lead. And I'll tell you the truth right now, even the guys who are like, the Brad Pitts of the world, and they don't know this stuff, the patience of the women that is dating them will wane very, very fast. It could be that she's dating a guy who's like super hot and she's all excited because she can't believe how hot he is. And she's going out with him 1 date, 2 dates. After 3 dates, the excitement of how hot he is probably going to go away. Because remember, women are looking to feel. They're looking to feel something. And a man who's really hot makes her feel something, but not enough things. If that man can't give her what it is that we are going to give her, then she's not going to last with him. So, if you remember this rule, men fall in love through their eyes and women through their ears. This means it really implies on how both species approach dating differently. Because men are just happy to date a hot woman. Like they can just sit around a hot woman knowing they're on a date with her, and they can just sit there and just look at her and be like, oh, she's hot. Oh, she's with me. Oh. They don't care what happens. For women, it's very different. Women need to fall in love through a process. Okay, even if she thinks that you're hot, she needs to see that there is something going on. So this is a rule, and write it down. For women, dating is about the process. So it's the whole thing around it. Falling in love with you is slower than how you would fall in love with her. You see a hot woman, you've already fallen in love. She needs time. Okay? So remember, women fall in love slower than men do. Now, while her desire increases through the entire process of dating, which we'll master in Module 6, okay? Remember, the whole game process is to increase desire and remove doubt. And this is kind of like a fractaled out version of the game, okay? So while her desire increases throughout the entire process, the most powerful tool that you have to make any meaningful advancement with a woman is the actual date, okay? When I mean that a woman's desire increases throughout the process, it means that even on the time that you are not together, her desire may or may not increase depending on how well you play the game. And if you do things right over at the date, it will increase. If you do things right in between the dates, it will increase even more. Now, when I say that the most powerful tool that you have to make any meaningful advances with a woman is the date, is because during the date, all the good stuff happens, right? You get to kiss for the first time during the date. You get to have sex for the first time during the date. You get to actually know each other during the date. Men who try to get to know women outside of the date fail. So never try to get to know her outside of the date setting. Now, when I say the word date, what do you think this means? Let's give a definition of what the word date is. Because to me, it seems like women and men think the date is something completely different just by the approach women and men has for dating. So here's the definition for a date. Every time you're going on a date, you're going out on a romantic, fun-filled opportunity to deepen both physical and emotional connection. This is the purpose of a date. And if you think about the dating process of her getting slowly and slowly more attracted to you and want to spend more and more time with you, yeah, every time you're in a date, you have an opportunity to make an, let's call it an incremental advancement in that process. Because let's say you're going out on a first date with her, you've never kissed before. On that date, you get to know her and you're kind of getting more familiar with each other. You like each other more. At the end of the date, you kiss, you go home to your separate ways. You made an incremental advancement in the relationship with her because before you didn't have all this stuff. Second date, you've already kissed, you got to know each other a little bit, you meet again. Up until then, maybe there was a little bit of the thing of an attraction there, maybe a little text here and there, but nothing meaningful happened. You meet the following week, you kiss again, maybe this time you're even making out a little bit. That's a meaningful advancement. Maybe you go to her place. Maybe she tells you something deep about herself or about her life. You get to learn something new about her. So all of these advancements can only happen in a date, which is a romantic, fun-filled opportunity to deepen both physical and emotional connections. Now, look, when men approach a date, they usually see it like this. Men see date as an individual opportunity or an individual event that is independent and disconnected from all others. So when they go into a date, when we go into a date, we think, I want to make this date very good, and I want to succeed in a certain goal of this date. I want this date to be successful. In other words, I want to kiss the girl. I want to get laid. I want to whatever. After the date is done, you kind of think, okay, it kind of doesn't matter what happens now as long as they get to the next date. And then you do all kinds of things in order to get to the next date. And if those things, let's say some stuff happened during the date, during the time between the dates that were, well, let's just say that when you're getting to the next date, a lot of guys think, it's another date. It's a fresh start. Where in some ways you're right. It is a fresh start. But at the same time, it is not independent from the entire process. It's not an individual node. Okay? Women see dating as a love story. It slowly unfolds as the plot thickens. So every date is like another episode, another let's say, peak point in their novel, where in between, these are also parts of the love story. So in other words, where men see dates as individual happenings on a timeline, women see it as a big story, as a large narrative that slowly unfolds as the plot thickens. Okay? That is exactly comes to what I say, that women fall in love slower than men. Okay? What happens with men is usually, I got her to kiss her on date 1. I got to make out on date 2. Maybe date 3 we'll have sex. That didn't happen. Okay, date 4 we had sex. Cool. She's my girlfriend now. I can ask her where this is going. I can call her out on where the thing's going right now. I can ask her, does she want kids? No. You have to let the story advance. And our approach as men is to kind of be like, it's going to sound really evil, but it's going to like puppeteers. We are the movers of the story. We are the people who are creating the events for the story. And we are the people who are like, okay? We do that by being very simple. We hang out, we have fun, and we hook up. That is everything that we do. Everything else is going to come from her. Everything else. You need to focus on these 3 things: on hanging out, on having fun, and hooking up. I have to, first of all, I want to give the credit to Corey Wayne here for the terminology. It's not mine. I do such a heavy usage in it in the webinar here, but Corey Wayne is the one who came up with the hanging out, having fun, and hooking up. And I would highly recommend you to read his book, How to Be a 3% Man, which is a great book. But anyway, I'm going to show you throughout today exactly what does hanging out, having fun, and hooking up mean. But what it essentially means, and connecting to what we said about us being the puppeteers, it means that we need to, while hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, we need to be in awareness of everything that's going on. We need to constantly assess if what we are doing is working, how much is it working, and where is the level of the desire that the woman has towards us in any moment of the dating experience. Okay, so in other words, we are always the movers of the events, and the, let's say, the leaders of the events. But at the same time, we need to know to take a step back and look from above and be aware of how everything is as much as we can. Okay. Now, we talked about the healthy masculine dating formula last time, flowchart, but I want to bring you back to this flowchart again. As we're hanging out, having fun, and hooking up, we want to keep this flowchart all the time in our mind. If you remember the first part on module 4, we learned how to meet someone to see if both of us is interested. If one of us is not interested, we pack it to experience and move on. If both of us are interested, we can start qualifying the lady to see if she is. I wrote 80% of my list because this was my standard, but as many percentage as you want from your list. And dating is exactly our chance to do that, especially the first date. Okay, because what happens actually is when we're coming here to the date, we're going to get to know the lady, and we want to see, first of all, whether she's 80% of our list or not. If she's not, so we can decide, let's say that she's like 5 out of 10 of our list, that's not good enough for us. What we want to do is we want to decide whether we want to hang out, have fun, and hook up only. In other words, keep her as just a friends with benefits, or move on. At any rate, at some point, you will need to move on. So you pack it to experience and move on. If we see during the date that she's 80% of our list, this for us gives a great opportunity to continue the dating experience, right? And to kind of, again, just hang out, have fun, hook up. While we're doing that, we're trying to find out as many things as we can about her, just being aware of what it's like to hang out with her. So we're checking, of course, as we do it, we're looking, okay, do we have shared values? Do we have shared life plans? Let's say at date 3, you find out, as a by the way, that she doesn't want kids and you want kids. Okay, so for you, that's a deal breaker because you don't want to be with someone who doesn't want kids. But so that's a no on the shared plans and shared life plans. That means you can just move her up to hang out, have fun, and hook up only. Okay. Coming back to the shared values, shared plans, if she shares all of your values and plans, which is great, you can decide you want to maybe continue to date her more. Then you want to see whether she has any of the red flags that you have on your list of the stuff that you don't want to. And then, for example, if after 6 dates, she's getting manipulative on you, or she starts attacking you, or she just blames you for random shit, and you're like, I'm not sure what's going on here, this is a good idea to kind of call her out on it and see whether these are actually red flags. If she embodies too many of the red flags, you can pack it to experience and move on. But if she doesn't, and you have like a few really good months that you're dating and you're having a really good time, and she is, and she doesn't embody any of the red flags, then all you do is still hang out, have fun, and hook up. So in other words, this is everything you need to do. You literally need to do all of that. Why? Because when it comes to making her your girlfriend, and note this, it always has to come from her. It should never be you asking her, will you be my girlfriend? I don't like the word never, okay? But for our purposes right now, until you have 10 to 15 times on everything, until you have amazing control over everything, and you made everything your own, for our purposes, You never ask her to be your girlfriend. Okay? What will happen as you hang out, have fun, and hook up, and you focus on just showing her a good time, being with her, hanging out, having fun, hooking up, not pressuring her into, hey, when are you going to be my girlfriend? When are we going to move in together? When are we going to do this? Yeah. She's going to come to you and ask that from you in the end. If you remember, the main idea behind the Shiva and Shakti archetypal story is that Shakti chases Shiva. She would prefer to chase you. Women would prefer to chase you. And I'm saying it again and again. Women would prefer to chase you. The minute that you are chasing them, they will back up. The minute that they feel that you're chasing them, they will back up. Okay? The minute that she feels that you're smothering her, even a tiny bit, she will back up. So we need to always just hang out, have fun, and hook up until she gets to the point that she asks us, hey, where is this going? Hey, we've been meeting for a long time now. Where is this going? When this happens, you've already, up until this moment, when this happens, you've already decided whether she's your girlfriend material or not. If you want her to be your girlfriend, when she asks you where this is going, this is where you say, what do you mean where this is going? And she will say, well, are you dating any other women? And it's like, well, why is it important for you to know? Because you're just playing around. And she's going to say, well, because I don't want you to date any other women. And it's like, does it sound like you want to be exclusive? Is that what you want? She'll be like, yes, this is what I want. Then you'll be like, all right, let's do exclusive. And then she's your girlfriend. Okay? But this is because a woman wants to be attracted a woman wants to chase a guy. If she doesn't chase you, let's phrase it like this. If she's chasing you, she's not dumping you. Simple as that. The minute you start chasing her, this will already give her reasons to like, why is he chasing? Is he insecure? Does he not have anything else going on? Okay. So your job throughout the entire dating process is simply to hang out, have fun, and hook up. It's just easy. It's really easy to do. Okay. Whenever you feel the need to chase, whenever you feel the need to ask, oh, what's going on? And you will feel the need. Hang out, have fun, hook up, period. Okay. So this is basically our mentality during the dating process. Okay. Notice that nowhere in this flowchart does it say that you ask her to be your girlfriend. Never. Okay, because you don't. You don't. Okay, very cool. So let's move on. I'm going to have a small sip of water. So, part one, my friends, is first date setup basics. So, how to set up a date and what you bring to the table. First of all, let's talk about women's scoring system during a date. Because there is a big gap between what men believe that scores them points on a date and what women score date points according to. So men think something like this. I gave her flowers, that's a point. I came with a cool car, that's a point. I paid for dinner, that's a point. All of this is wrong. And the actual thing that scores a guy points in dates is like this, something like, he listened to me. That's a point. He didn't check out that hot waitress, even though I saw that she was hot. That's a huge point. He had a plan, and he knew what he was doing. That's another point. He was very kind to the service staff. That's a huge point. Okay, so there is different things that we need to do in a date in order to score points with a woman, and it's never the flowers, the car, or the dinner. Guys are mostly focused on the materialistic aspects of the date and what they provided, and women are focusing on the emotional aspects of the date and how they felt. So our goal throughout the date is to make a woman feel certain things, which is basically what we want to do when we are using the game, as we spoke in module 4. But on the date is basically a more stretched out and more elongated version of that. When we're talking about masculine and feminine energies coming into a date, there's what I call the 5 masculine pillars and the 5 feminine pillars. The 5 masculine pillars is leadership, clarity, safety, structure, and flirt. These are the things that you bring into a date. Leadership, clarity, safety, structure, and flirt. These are the things that you need to embody throughout the entire dating process if you want the dating process to be successful. Now, by doing that, by bringing these 5 pillars into the dating process, what she will bring is playfulness, connection and bonding, inspiration, submissiveness, and selection, which is what we call consent, from lack of a better word. Okay, I'll expand briefly on that. When a man needs to, let's say, when a man says to a woman, "Hey, I want you to meet me at this date, at this time," and I got everything covered. For her, this shows that he's a leader, right? Because he made the date and decided. He's very clear. He told her exactly when and where. Well, safety is not necessarily embodied in that, but let's say she feels safe enough to meet him. Okay, that gives her safety. He gave her structure with the time and the date and everything. And maybe he also added, "and wear something cute." So he flirted, made her feel like, hee hee. Okay, now when a man gives her these 5 things, she doesn't need to embody these things herself. So she doesn't need to lead the date. She doesn't need to be clear. She's already feeling safe. She just needs to show up, look hot, and connect. And then what she has is she has the capacity to let go and be a girl. And then she's going to be playful because she can relax. She can connect and bond with you. She can just focus on just being there. 0 brain cells, right? Usually when you're like that, it gives her inspiration. Okay, because it's like, wow, this guy, he's got everything going. I want to go meet him. I want to see what he's about. If you're talking about certain things and you talk about them with passion, you talk about things that you really love with passion, you will see her eyes lit up because you inspire her. By giving into your leadership, by just seeing that you've got a plan, she can just follow along and says, okay, and just follow along and be hot. She's being submissive. She's actually being cooperative with everything that you suggest. And finally, doing all of these things will make it easier for her to give her yes to you. Because when she feels all of these things, she will be happy to select you as the male and consent. Right? In nature, if you were like a fucking peacock, it would be super easy, right? You just walk around with your weird ass feathers, and then the female will select you. But with human beings, it's a little bit more complicated than with peacocks, right? It's not about who has the biggest feathers. It's about who can give those 5 pillars the best. Okay. So what we need to understand is that when you show up, hang out, have fun, hook up, and give these 5 pillars of masculine leadership. So leadership, clarity, safety, structure, and flirt. She will be able to let go and give her feminine part of the polarity into the mix and be playful, connect, bond. She'll be inspired and inspire you. She will be submissive to you, and she will eventually consent. And this creates harmony. Okay? So I want to give you another analogy here. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you throughout the whole lecture, the whole module, excuse me. What I'm going to show you is how the things that you do affect the 5 pillars of the masculine structure, of the masculine during the day. Okay, so you're going to see it on the side throughout the day today. But at the same time, I want to give you another analogy before we continue into the practicalities. So look, consent is given when we talked about selection, right? Consent is given when her desire is high enough and the doubt is low enough. When we applied enough game and we did enough work, we made desire high enough, so she wants to spend time with us enough. And doubt is low enough. She's pretty sure that we're not rapists or assholes or we're going to hurt her or anything like that. Your job in the dating phase is to create the best conditions for her to consent, to give her consent by applying the game. Okay? And in order to do this successfully, you must embody the masculine energy by upholding the 5 masculine pillars. Okay? This is your only job, to set the best conditions for her to give a yes. This is your job. Okay? Your job is not to ask her when she's going to give a yes. Your job is not to ask her for more yeses. Your job is not to beg for sex. Your job is to set the conditions and watch what happens. So think about it like this. If what we have here is a plant, okay, the environment is the soil, okay, and the plant is her desire. The plant will grow the more rich the soil is. The more you show up with the 5 masculine pillars, the richer the soil. Okay, so the soil is the environment and the plant is her desire. And you come with a huge container of masculine energy, which is you and everything that you do, okay, by embodying the masculine pillar of the polarity. And you trickle a little bit of game every time onto the environment. And the attraction happens by itself when you do that. But you don't come and yank out the plant from the ground telling him, when are you ready? Right? You don't push the plant like this. Yeah, plant, grow. And you definitely don't send the plant little funny memes or reels of like, hey, plant, look, I'm here. Hi, plant. Hi, plant. Grow. I want you to grow. You don't do that shit. All you do is water down the environment and let the plant grow by itself, thinking it's his idea. Because the plant doesn't know, really, plants don't know that you come with a funnel and splatter dunger and water on them. They don't know that. They grow and they think, oh, look at me, I'm here, I'm growing. They don't know that there's someone who is actually taking care of the environment. And this is what you need to be doing, taking care of the environment so the plant feels safe and awesome to just grow and flourish and become beautiful. Okay? This is our mindset.